afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to another exciting Propagandacast with your host, Imperial Dane, Master of Propaganda. We're off here to an exciting new episode after the latest patch, adding in a bunch of stuff, including a new commander and also making the Tank Hunter Tactics commander available for free as well, but also purchasable. A bunch of changes have been made to all armies. The Wehrmacht, I think, to a large extent, the one probably benefiting from the most. But that's not to say they suddenly become super good. Other way we're seeing here, Sheepeh fighting for the Soviet Union for the glory of Comrade Stalin. Fighting here for the 5th Mechanized Corps, charged with breaking through the German lines here with advanced warfare, guard motor coordination tactics, and shot rifles, more or less box standard stuff there as of late for Soviets. And going up against it will be Lovenest, who are fighting here for the 210th Infantry Division with Ostrom Doctrine chosen here. A rare choice there between Grenadiers and Ostrom arriving at the same time. It's an interesting combination there. And note, by the way, Ostrom are one of the units here that got buffed. In fact, they now possess a much better bonus when in cover. In fact, when they are in cover, they will perform better than Fult's Grenadiers at the moment. So that should be a reasonably solid infantry unit when in cover. Getting more Ostrom here, sort of further adding flesh to the frontline army here that Lovenest possesses. Back to Sheepeh. Conscript's got a few buffs up close at the mid-range. On the other hand, at long range they're slightly less effective. Also, they've received such that they're a bit easier to hit. In that regard, charging head on to an MG42, for example, might be less of a grand idea now. With a Molotov, that is. So detail there. We're quickly advancing in a slightly broad advantage, taking up position in the church. Spotting Lovenest Pioneers laying down barbed wire. He's actually been rather enthusiastic that using the barbed wire, or the Pioneers lay down barbed wire while he's using the Ostrom then to actually capture territory. Interesting, interesting. Ostrom might move in to support the centre, and there you go, guys, getting flanked here. They do manage to secure the central munitions point. They do get poor Jürgen here. Guys got the falling back, coming on from the Grenadier. We're also slightly buffed at certain ranges. They also were made us slightly harder to hit, but not by an awful lot. Also a bunch of bullets, I think 40 all in all were added alongside some new end kills, whatever victory strikes. There go charging in, Conscript coming and firing out from several units. Pioneers joining as well there, and we got the Ostrom up north as well. We are seeing here that Sheepeh is quickly forced to fall back with his troops for the might of the Reich, while at the same time we see there quickly Jürgen goes on. Well, they need to also note though, the Ostrom, while buffed in terms of damage on cover, they're actually easier to hit than probably the one that got a huge buff. They're more or less 25% easier to hit now, more or less. So that's a good thing to keep in mind about them, but they're still pretty cheap. And they do reasonable damage when in cover, so overall they're reasonably effective. Now you just have to be very good when it comes to using cover with them. You know, an MG42 are ramming here for Lovenest. Pioneer here under a bit of fire, more constant running. Molotovs also by way of it, sort of further adding pressure here. South large secured for Sheepeh. It's rather, he didn't take a sort of northern approach, instead he sort of went through the centre, which is where he then encountered the Germans. In that regard, Lovenest was a bit fortunate, he's been able to sort of further stall his opponent. Pioneers bring up the country, charging trains. And there you go, even with Ura they do suffer a bit more. They do manage to pull. No, we actually see a full retreat here. Looks like Mr. Lovenest is not too confident in his chance to hold the position there, and we are noting 2 MG42s are arriving, so 1 Grenadier, 2 Ostrom, probably some Hilfswilliger, which were generally by that time of the war, 1944-45, left to do support lemons. And also note, MG42 sound fixed. Another great bit of the patch here. But generally the Russians and all that's the Hilfswilliger, the largely sort of left to do rear support units, rarely pulled into fight by 1944-45, in particular on the Eastern Front, since they were considered less than reliable, but generally they had no problem, you know, hauling goods or cooking and such. So, little fun fact there, using this quick setup of medic bunker. Though he's been cut off here by the fuel bar, nice action there by Sheepeh. I'm noting here that Sheepeh is laying down some mines. Good, good. Which also reminds me, German Teller mines and Regal mines have been made slightly cheaper. They also do less damage, but that is not too bad, I suppose, when you continue getting a bit cheaper. And still do quite a bit of good damage, and still also damage the engine of the enemy vehicle. MG42 slightly county there. Ostrom moving forwards again, the grenades coming up from inside the building.
Supply sector under attack.
Flammenwerfer up there, Grenadiers Ostrom charging forwards, the MG42 covering it all up. Well, Ostrom moving down here. Comet sneaking up. Might set up a mine here. That's a good spot, by the way. Ooh, there we go. Finally got some line of sight there. MG44s, or 42s, not 44s. Ringing out across the battlefield. Knows what they're forced with. The construct up there proving to be quite a formidable obstacle. There we go. Ostrom firing in. And there we go. We do see the Russians on the run. More Bartwire going up here, making a bit of a direct approach here towards victory point. A bit more difficult. Not bad, not bad. I mean, that's also a good reason just to use Bartwire to make it harder for your opponent to move around the battlefield the way he wants to. I mean, that can just as much frustrate him and cause him to make mistakes. Or who knows what else again. I mean, it's not a bad idea here what Lovenest is actually doing. That's great to see some slightly more advanced Bartwire work. MG42 is just bouncing into the church to cover this area. So on further making it harder for his opponent to move around. Ostrom here, not having so much luck with the dug-in unit inside a small farmhouse, and these Ostrom definitely won't fare well since they're not on cover, and thus they don't get the bonuses, which overall renders them a lot less potent. And there go, in fact, a Molotov straight on them. Not a good situation there. MD42 forced to fall back here with the presence of the conscript for some reason, taking up positions at the small shed. Not something I'd expect. And we're actually seeing a field officers called up here for Lovenest. Lovely. So rare to see them nowadays, but can't turn work there. Conscious looks like they will make it past it. The support gunners are doing what they can here. But there we go. A flangeable of Fury Doom unleashed. And the MD42 only pulls back here. Interesting, interesting. Then we got the officer here arriving. Opening up there upon the Russian shrine. Support weapon company up here for Sheepeh. Could get some Maxims, some mortar or a field gun. Mortars might in fact work quite well now with all the MD42 set there. And we're seeing shock rifle chosen, and immediately these shock troopers are called in. The advance is pushed further up.
Enemy forces are capturing our supplies.
Rifleman ready.
Bit of sneaking about there. Go. Actually hits a bit of a nasty position. He's got no cover. He's a negative cover and has to retreat. He has to sort of arc around there, so not bad there, not bad. Lots of Bartwire there by Lovenest. It's impressive work. Maxim then arriving also as well. The alternate here, like the mechanized company, is up. Panzer guns well, but they also got some slight improvements. Oh, hit the mine there. Surprisingly enough, they only lost Jürgen. That's quite impressive. Obviously, being charged, go take up position in the building. They need some support. Then MD42 something needs to get up there. Ostrom is sadly not having much luck there with the dug-in units. But it looks like they do manage to escape here. The pressure increases. Again, going for the cut-off point here. Sheepeh laying down some quite nice aggressive harassment work here towards Lovenest. Cut-off point for the fuel. Certainly been a bit of a while since we've seen such aggressive work here. Make a bit of a mistake there. He forgot to put them in cover, so again, they won't really perform very well. Needs to get something back in the fight here. Maximum ahead. Imperial Strike not going up to the front yet. But so far, we are seeing a stronger domination here from Sheepeh.
The enemy is taking what we have secured.
Lovenest sadly maybe having a few issues here and then, sort of getting the most out of his Ostrom and also covering the flanks a bit, allowing Sheepeh sort of charge through. Oh dear, bad position here for the MD42. Oh.
We are losing territory.
He will have to get that very quickly. More constant arriving now. Ooh, getting out in the open there. Almost got the MD42. They're very close, very close. Obviously moving up. He could use concentrated fire to get more out of him. Or incendiary position mountain. There we go. Concentrate fire up. Definitely getting more out of the men that way. Troops reinforcing. Not looking so good for the men inside there now, and we got the Max joining as well. The pressure is really increased. We are noting here that Lovenest is very much in a bad position at the moment. More troops being shifted into that building while the rest are being pulled out. The carcass is left behind inside. And there we go. Rifle grenade up, flies through, does a nice bit of damage. Still need something more to break for this. A mortar might have been helpful here for Lovenest. Shifting up here off some pressing, and there we go. Shock troopers flanking on the poor Ostrom, mowing down their former comrades or friends, who knows.
The enemy is encroaching on our territory.
Only one man making out of there.
Comrades,
And there we go, Panzergrenadier out. They have been made somewhat harder to hit. Also, they made slightly better at medium range. Short range, so they actually received a small nerf, but overall, I do believe they actually performed better. So, more playing course will ultimately confirm this more properly.
Okay, that's the last one.
It's a bit of unfortunate situation they have Lovenest so far in maintaining map control under a lot of pressure here. There you go, Panzergrenadier is moving up. Maintaining good distance here from the submachine guns. Max moving out and CoH2 joining in as well.
We are losing supplies to the enemy.
Pioneers continue to sneak up south, but there we go. Final response there from Sheepeh to lock that down. And there you go. Realize what's going on. He flanks about with the Panzer, because he might even be able to get behind all of this. And there goes CoH2 is forced away. Looks like he might be able to break the iron grasp here of Sheepeh. Over to Lovenest with a certain mix of infantry. And there you go. Unable to get cover here, the Panzergrenadiers will have a much easier chance with them. Max have forced a bit back there, but quickly sitting up again, keeping conscripts covered. Good job there by Sheepeh. Lovenest still really needs to break out of this, and he might also want to consider wearing slightly about armor, though again he might have suspicion that it's all about the Collins, in which case of course he can afford to wait a bit more. In fact, we're seeing here fuel being traded in. Could it be he's planning for Panzerstrikes here and sort of intermediate solution, who knows? Yes, a light machine gun. A bit of a tricky move to use that early on to redistribute resources, but it might just be one easy. There go the conscripts. Direct charge against the M4. As you might have noticed, this time it actually was a lot more lethal, due to again the slight increase in your damage they can take due to the, well, basic fact they're easier to hit now, as opposed to reflecting their more raw status. So again, I mean, such attacks here nowadays are a lot more perilous, and in this case, we did see that Sheepeh was actually punished for it, running straight at an MG42. So that's a small plus, I would say. Pack 40 on the way here. Panzergrenadier securing the church. Schnell, Dieter. Check to see if there's any altar wine left.
The enemy is attempting to steal our sector.
And a veteran 2 here for the MD42. Good, good. Now definitely getting back some territory here, using the Osttorben and the MD42. Officers also moving out here, closing in on veteran C1. No sign of taking up, so, and getting minesweepers. He seems a bit concerned about enemy mines. You also see field guns, so he's clearly also worried about his opponent getting vehicles or armor up. That could certainly catch him a bit off guard. And we see here he's basically hoping to sort of bait him in, keeping the building a bit unclear, and then suddenly, oh, he sneaks up and then able to ambush them with the Panzergrenadiers from a closer range. Not a bad idea, though, in this case. Didn't quite work out the way he intended. He could, on the other hand, bait them into the church and then pop a bundle grenade. Or like a Baldelano. There we go. But in this case, he was a bit enough to put out. It'd probably be better if he'd just done it as they were getting into the church, in which case there'd been less time for his opponent to react here. It comes to getting suppressed. Officer getting some good shots in, gaining veterans 1. Need to get out of the fire, though. Though I admire his courage for standing in the flames and then dying horribly. Perhaps not the most clever of officers there. There we go, again, another sort of head-on attack. Smoke going up here for the shock troopers, good maximum as well. There we go, Molotov did go off, and unless they did take a bunch of damage here. Grenadiers with machine gun providing coming fire as well. No way, he basically ensuring he can move from here to there, ensuring the MD42 won't do much.
Our opponents are
Here, reasonably well executed assault by Sheepeh. Got the barrage in as well. They do see an attempt here to flank south. There we go, got them covered. Keep them in cover, keep them in cover, keep them supporting. Ah, scheisse. Additional Panzergrenadier squad on the way here. Lovenest is really adding in some heavier troops to support the Infanterie Division here in its fight to hold the line. Was a weiße rear areas might get overrun.
Panzergrenadiers standing by.
There you go, second squad of Panzergrenadiere. That's a lot more firepower there added in for him. Ostrom, though, might want to consider getting out of there. Again, they're not in cover. They're up against shock troopers. There you go, flanking the Maxim. Up and grenade. A bit too late there, although that's a nice idea there. But I think he was actually trying to catch them on retreat. It's something that does require a bit more experience to sort of try and pull off successfully. Though if you can do it, you can usually occasionally get off some extra good damage. Field gun spotted here by the Panzer Grenadier charging forwards. Contact moving in.
Officer reporting.
Officer MD42, maybe hoping to ambush someone. And there we go, Veterans one going in after that field gun. That was close, but looks like nothing really happened. Contacts moving in, MD42 sitting up here. Good, good. A bundle grenade here might work wonders, but also not in cover those that we see a Molotov on them. Telemine, yes, the new and not improved Telemine, but a cheaper Telemine. Chanting is though he did end up losing the Panzer spot there in retreat, he might have been a bit too late. Conscious smoke against the officer. Lovenest is getting the north though, which is good. He's definitely getting things back here, but still needs to be worried here. But again, it very much seems like his opponent's playing for the doctor, in which case he needs to prepare for something heavier. Of course, in that regard, the Panzer 6 would certainly be of help as well, if you were to aim for that. Also, I'm here getting Veterans too. Though in return, we do see an incendiary barrel called in here in the MD42. Lots of incendiary not quite goodness. No sign of taking up here for Lovenest. You might want to consider doing that soon enough. Just a thought anyways. Max has been doing quite a good job then pinning down the German advance. Obviously keeping up things as well. He's in fact gained the Veterans too. That's good, that's good. And we actually note a fuel cache down to have interesting position for the fuel cache, considering it would probably be better here sort of where it couldn't be harassed as easily. And KV-8 flamethrower tank arriving for Sheepeh. That's definitely going to hurt soon enough. And apparently a bit of a crude attempt with their camouflage.
We are losing a sector.
Panzer 6 would then definitely be nice to sort of help the Pack 40 versus this KV-8 heavy flamethrower tank. The more fire he can direct against it, the quicker, the better. In fact, he might end up losing here. There we go, got the KV-8 moving in and an immediate retreat. There we go, response as well taking up. Certainly about time. Oh no, oh no, oh no, no. He's bringing out him before to head too far there. Not entirely sure why he would do it like that. He could end up losing it there, that would be terrible. But looks like he will be able to salvage it. Another attempt at the Telemine, good, good, but looks like so far he's managed to sort of tell up 2 good points here, though they're still lacking here. He might be lucky his opponent worries that might be tailored up, in fact not take the direct approach here. But if you can draw him into here to the Telemine up north, there might be a chance of basically stopping this heavy armor rush, and in fact might have been a good choice there by Lovenest. Yes, yes, looks like it. Came in advancing, and there we go, even killing the Russians right next to it. Straight from the Pack 40 here, though, within range. Can he get it? Can he get it? Or will he try to get away here? Panzer 6 on the way as well. Good, good. And they're basically heavy engine damage. It won't be getting away anytime soon. He doesn't quite have anything to repair it either. Get the Pack 40 officers nearby, though. And there we go. Concentrate fire, getting something more of the Austroben as well. Taking up the bonus on those. No, the troops inside the building will also get the bonus. Grenade didn't manage to do much. There we go. The shock troops in fact getting torn apart here by accurate fire. Panzer Grenadier moving up there. Kitten Panzer Buchse. Ah, Scheiße, Friedrich. You never could hit, now could you? And there we go. The Telemine turned out to save the day. Probably a lot more sort of now workable with only 50 munitions. So there we go. A small bit of breathing space here for Lovenest, having just disabled an enemy heavy tank with a well-placed Telemine.
Enemy forces are securing our territory.
Though we see here, oh dear, he already managed to get an IS-2. Well, you can only hope here. Might be worried about the Telemine up there, and it's hit south instead, though. Now we are seeing here, Sheepeh is getting a lot more paranoid. A lot more paranoid. Constantly getting gunned down by the Austroben. Molotov off. slight chance that he might actually take the path here. Oh, it's been spotted, but maybe he hasn't actually seen it. Sounds like he's in a bit of trouble. Support them armor company up. Sounds like they're doing what they can. And the officer quickly makes a less than happy encounter with the IS-2. But it is time for the mid-game analysis. Current situation, Sheepeh is very much dominating the fight. You can see here, I mean, you know, both commanders chosen. He's got, well, actually, they've almost equal damage, and he's in fact got more kills than the German, though that's probably due to the Ostrom, which do suffer more heavily, no matter what, but still they're doing reasonably alright so far, but otherwise, I mean, sort of equally, but in terms of territorial control, though, we do note that Sheepeh is in a much better situation. I mean, they've all been sort of holding a better grasp of the map, sort of holding and dominating and pushing back Lovenest, but Lovenest on the other hand has been able to keep his units functional and sort of that way slowly build up a force and is now pushing back more aggressively. He's also managed to maintain now two MD-42s, which certainly also makes infantry movements here for Sheepeh a lot more difficult. So it's not all bad. On the other hand, his opponent just got an IS-2 heavy tank. He was able to get the KV-8 and that was a good thing there. And certainly resource-wise now, Sheepeh has rather sort of tried to build up for that, and thanks to the Tellermine there, it's already sort of lost a bit of its wind, so we can also get the IS-2 by, say, luring it somehow into the Tellermine there, he might stand a good chance. Though, of course, a Pack 40 and then maybe the Panzerschrecks could also have a good chance of at least scanning away the IS-2, in which case he probably would be having a reasonably alright day all of a sudden. Of course, the support armor company, he could consider getting a Panzer IV. That would probably sort of be immediately a choice, but push against infantry, also armor. Maybe later on support with a Stug or two, that way getting a sort of nice armor dominance then versus Sheepeh, because now Sheepeh sort of having again sort of tried to build up. He's controlled and he's sort of built up for the armor, but again it's all sort of raining in and he's sort of deflating now. And that rather puts Sheepeh in a bit of a critical phase. We now, there's too much, I mean, he'll get knocked out. I mean, he did a sort of good job there setting up a fuel catcher to support this doctrinal play, by the way, which is good. That's good, by the way. But at the same time, when you're suffering that kind of heavy armor losses without getting much back that quickly, of course, you will encounter some serious problems. So, in that regard, he needs to be a bit more cautious of the IS-2. You also need to keep it properly supported, and he needs to be on watch for any further Tellermines, because Lovenest will try to get more down, of course, that way disable the IS-2, so they won't haunt him in the game or in his streams anymore. But again, you know, he's going to need to somehow adapt to this. Getting more mortars out or some field guns would be a good job. I mean, that way adding a bit of further pressure, making it a bit difficult for Lovenest to set up a fortified position with mortars would be a good job, or just field guns sort of prevent, will help versus enemy armor that might soon arrive. More mines would also be good, or maybe another fuel cache, then further again play towards more heavy armor. If he's going to go for that, another fuel cache would also be good. I mean, it's a bit of a tricky phase here again. He needs to sort of weather this, he needs to be playing this correctly, because right now it's sort of hanging in the balance. There's a very good chance here of Lovenest breaking Sheepeh if Sheepeh makes one wrong move. On the other hand, if Sheepeh plays this correctly, he can still sort of knock Lovenest out, so there's a bit there to keep in mind. But let's head back here to the fight. And yes, they're forced away. Oh, mine might then get swept. Pack 40 setting up here. Shots firing, shots bouncing off the... Oh, Scheiße! Got both the Grenadiers and collapsed the house full of Osttruppen! Gott im Himmel! The casualties, they're horrible! That was one hell of a shot! Talk about the demoralizing blow. Panzer's forces then occupy positions essentially before setting up to cover the cut-off. He's going to quickly replace some of those losses. A quick Ostrom squad will be good, but oh dear. Geballte Ladung Pionier moving in as well. Oh, there we go. He might get them. He might get them edges too as well for the Panzergrenadiere. And there you go. The conscripts in front of the MD-42 getting absolutely massacred. Looks like Sheepeh just bought himself some breathing space. Oh no. Yet. Missing the Ostrom though. Pack 40 opening game. There you go. We got a Panzer IV arriving as well. Panzerkampfwagen 4 supporting the Infanteriedivision. 19th Panzer Division is quick to provide support. Anti-tank grenade flies and actually damages the engine. And there you go, the IS-2 heroically charges forth, the engine blown out. straight in front of the enemy anti-tank weapons. He might be able to get the Panzer IV though.
Attempting to capture our
And there we go, concentrated fire. He's just once got MG42 joining in as well. And the IS-2 cooked up.
We are suffering vehicle losses.
And there we go. Sheepeh is now a bit floundered there. Though he's again, I mean, he just might have slightly given more breathing space despite, you know, losing all of this right there. But good lord, that was quite the explosive fight there. Good use of barbed wire and teller mines. He's basically turned this into a Soviet kill zone. So there we go. The teller mines here probing now. Again, at 50 munitions, they seem to be a lot more manual and much more usable. I mean, they don't do as much damage, and then you saw how quickly the IS-2 still ended up floundering, not being able to do much. So there we go. Well played by Lovenest. But the Pack 40 crew again got exterminated. And he's actually closing in on Veterans 3 with the officer. If he gets, I think that'll be the first time I've ever seen a Veterans 3 field officer. Which means he actually gets an improved bonus on the contract fire. I mean, it becomes better. And that'll be impressive to see. Sheepeh, though, still sort of holding a dominant position, but he's in a bit of trouble again. The resources rather hurt him a bit, though. Again, he's got plenty of fuel at the moment. Parts of the fuel point, parts of the fuel cache, then sort of resource still dominant, so he might be able to call in another one, but even then, that hurt. Panzer IV range again, and now we do see that Lovenest will have a better chance of initiative here thanks to his Panzer IV. Now also upgraded with the machine guns. There we go, countries in the straight up middle of everything. And the tank brake damages the engine again! God, seems to be making some good throws today. There, grenade on the MG42. Concentrate fire here on the officer might be good now. Concentrate fire. Oh. And there you go, Veteran D3 for the MG42. Panzer IV ready to once more move ahead to strike down the Communist 4. And the Pioneers there. Veteran T2. And yes, a Sturmgeschütz. Concentrate moving straight into the Panzer IV. Concentrate fire would also benefit here. Oh, damaged engine again, my god! Did all these conscripts at one time or the other play baseball or something? Extremely good throwers. Oh, we got a field gun moving up here. His only chance in attack to call down smoke here from the officer to save the Panzer IV. This range, he might actually be able to lose it. Then again, the field gun is also self-damaged. But no, looks like he called in the smoke just in time. It does also have the slight effect of allowing him to get out the field gun, but I think it's rather more worth it saving that Panzer IV than knocking out the enemy's field gun by losing the Panzer IV.
On our territory.
Still a nice save there. Good use of the officer by Lovenest. I mean, that's absolutely some spectacular officer usage. Been sometimes I've seen such good usage of the officer. Actually gaining Veteran 3, that's... I don't think I've actually ever seen him, at least not this version of it, reach Veteran 3, so I mean, absolutely amazing.
We are ready. Engineers standing by. Replacements have arrived.
Sturmgeschütz mobilised north here to deal with the conscripts.
Our territory is falling.
Panzer IV once more back, pull back for repairs, and there we go, dealing with the conscript north there with the Sturmgeschütz, machine gun and main gun. Good shooting. And an additional Panzer Grenadier squad here while the Oststurm keeps some conscripts occupied. The Oststurm here are the only ones in cover, and thus they're a bit of trouble since they're being focused on here by the conscripts, but because they are not, while in cover, getting the bonus, on the other hand, cover directions, in that case, they don't get the defensive bonus of it. You might want to consider either merging with this or pulling it back for healing and reinforcement, because that field gun Veteran 2 is much too low on health. But there you go, a second IS-2 here is available for Sheepeh. And there's been no fresh teller mines here from Lovenest. And there you go, 23 kills, Veteran 3 on his officer. My God. like he might try for a southern thrust here, trying to unhinge the positions of Lovenest through that. That's not necessarily a bad idea. He's certainly probably not going to be charging through the centre, seeing as that's pretty much an armoured kill zone at the moment. There you go, getting off some good kills, but there you go, IS-2 fire, Sturmgeschütz needs to get away. And the Panzer IV needs to get there quickly. Pack 40 setting up. Off, Strobe might try to get off a Panzer IV, fails to penetrate, Stuka almost down, Pack 40 firing, Panzer is moving out there with their puncher strikes as well. IS-2 needs to get out of there. And almost gets the entire Veterancy Fleet Ostrom unit in one horrible shot. Veterancy Fleet there. IS-2 heavily damaged, Panzer IV moving in as well. Sheepeh did not find enough support and he did not pull back in time here. Shots bounced though. Panzer IV gets one hell of a beating there as well. Looks like this time around he escapes, but that was rather a close shave there. And now these Panzers are definitely much more unpleasant. Still no sign here of the Project 5, but there we go. Veterancy Fleet from the 10 army is just shredding those conscripts. Definitely mentions the fact they got the Panzers joining in as well. The Maxim making a very spirited sprint for their lives.
Enemy forces capturing supply sector.
While Lovenest is more aggressively now going southwards, and Fanny could also quickly clear out that fuel cache with those Veterancy 3 Panzer Grenadiere. The Sturmgeschütz though is in dire need of repairs, that's not looking good.
We are ready.
I think the only thing keeping that together is stale sauerkraut being used as an adhesive.
Rifleman ready.
We are losing supplies.
Panzer moving up there, breaking through the gap, but Country's one a good position to quickly ambush with an anti-tank grenade, and again they managed to damage the engine. Not really Lovenest staying up with that Panzer IV now, is it?
Enemy forces are attempting to capture our territory.
I can't imagine the Panzer crew being entirely entertained by that.
Points have fallen to 300.
Ostrom needs to get out of there. Not looking good, not looking good. Molotovs, immer mehr Molotovs. We got the Panzer waiting for support while keeping the Panzer guns themselves supported here. Pack 40 nearby as well, and there go, got the IS-2, got the field gun. It's not reinforced with anything. Panzers there almost wiped out. Pioneers arriving. Panzer IV needs to get out of there. Sturmgeschütz needs to get down. Oh no! Panzer IV kaput!
We have made the ultimate sacrifice.
Back to Lovenest here. So he's actually got himself another Panzer IV. Nicely timed. There you go, those conscripts work quickly, stop in their tracks.
Steal our sector.
They do manage to get over Molotov though, impressively enough. We got the IS-2 charging forwards here. And Panzer in the direct hit there. He might try and get off a target weak point there on the IS-2, the Josef Stalin. There was also an IS-1, but that never really saw frontline action in any serious numbers. It was basically sort of intermediate version. The IS-2 sort of being what actually saw any kind of frontline action in numbers. Little fun fact there.
Awaiting orders.
And in the end, they actually opted for the KV-85, sort of more as a proper intermediate version between the KV series and the IS-2 series, basically. With the KV-85 basically being, well, a KV tank with a T-3045 turret and gun mounted on it. Well, technically it was an IS-1 turret with an 85mm gun. Good shooting there. Things are taking a bit more of a cautious approach here from both sides. The Sheepeh obviously is a bit desperate. Oh, he finally also got around to reinforcing that field gun. Oh, no, he actually just merged with it. Not a bad idea either. Bit of harassment there, trying to sort of keep up the pressure on Lovenest fuel. And the Street once more dealing with the harassers.
Territory is out of contact.
Getting up some good kills. Meanwhile, looks like things are brewing up in the centre. The assault might finally be happening. And there you go, Panther 4 takes one hell of a from the IS-2 field gun, taking assault. Panther 4 needs to fall back. Pioneers need to go as well. Panther as well, forced to retreat. Officer still not using his conflict fire ability despite, you know, being veteran free. Pack 4 gaining veteran 2, blasting away at the IS-2. And an awful lot of smoke grenades going off there. The officer just needs to get out of there. He's not going to have a long lifetime with that. Though the shock troopers are quickly repelled here by a good shot from the Panzerkampfwagen 4. Looks like he's also upgraded both Panzer squads now with Panzer 6. Seemingly getting reasonably worried about that IS-2 to get more Panzer 6, or maybe worried about further heavy armor. In fact, we're seeing a second IS-2. Sheepeh is actually managed to sort of build up resources enough for a second IS-2. There we actually got the Stuk flanking in. I'm not entirely sure what he's expecting, what he finds there. A second IS-2. Panzer 4 trying to change to the mess here. Panzer X flying. Sturmgeschütz needs to get away. Get away! Scheiße, Jürgen! No! He's actually got... He might be able to get it there. The rear armor is exposed! Oh, he ended up pulling away. He could have maybe gone there for target weak point, but... I said, oh! Got a damaged engine nonetheless! What we're seeing here, Sheepeh is not pursuing. Trying to get the Stuk away with a damaged engine. Never slightly chaotic fight here. Second pack 40 arriving as well to reinforce the front. Panzer running in support. Another anti-tank grenade, another damaged engine. Interesting enough, the second IS-2 also heavily damaged, or reasonably damaged, not being set up to pursue either. Pioneers on the move to try and assist all of the damaged German armour. And the IS-2 barreling forwards like a mighty armoured juggernaut. He's even sending in the heavily damaged IS-2. Looks like his Sheepeh is smelling blood and he's willing to risk a bit. But we are seeing here that already Lovenest is actually doing everything he can to reinforce. We might see the IS-2 go down. Artillery going down as well to basically block any movement through there. Get them out of there, Sheepeh. Quickly. And there you go. One IS-2 went down here to the Panzer Grenadiers for the Panzer Schrecks. Looks like Sheepeh here took Lovenest a bit too lightly, or was smelling a blood a bit too much to not really consider the possibilities. Either way, Lovenest managed to surprise his opponent a bit and get an IS-2, leaving the other one also in a very, very bad state there. There you go, field gun down. The veteran, the MD-42, doing an absolutely sterling work. And now Sheepeh looks in a not strong position at all, as Lovenest force continues to grow. More pioneers around to assist with repairs, that's good.
Lieutenant Colonel, at your command. Shoots in here.
And shock troopers receiving a rather royal treatment there from the Panzer von Sturmgeschütz. A large number of high explosive rounds being sent in their direction.
The enemy is attempting to steal our sector. Kampfwagen is ready.
And we got the Maxim joining in as well. Under bombardment from the Sturmgeschütz. Not sure if that can keep up there for Sheepeh. Pushing up further centre here. Church charging up with the Ostrom. MG42 keeping things at current, and the Ostrom are taking quite a... or shock taking quite a beating. IS-2 almost combat ready. And there we go, shock troopers just getting shredded there. Point blank, 20 kills on the MG42. That's a rarity. Veteran 3 Maxim versus Veteran 3 MG42. Which one pulls out of this fight? Molotov that goes off, so looks like the Maxim will be the victor. Looks like Sheepeh is getting ready to pour the last effort in he can. Make it or break it. In this case, make it or be sent off to a gulag in Siberia.
Enemy forces are securing our territory.
Shots fired. Target to weak point. Remember, target to weak point. There we go.
Enemy is taking our territory.
There we go, there we go. Penetrated shot. Stunned. Oh, another damaged engine there.
We need orders. Orders.
Panther Force Troop following up here. A nice turnaround here in the end by Lovenest. Lovely work here.
The adversary has slipped to 100 points.
Pack 40 getting on a few good shots there. And this is pretty much the few last dying gasps here of Sheepeh, as his forces are slaughtered before the forces of Lovenest.
The enemy is down to 75 points.
An absolute massacre by now. Veteran 2 for the Panther Force well. And almost Veteran 3 on the Sturmgeschütz. Pull back. And there you go, GG from Sheepeh. And a game over here, a rather interesting fight, a pretty exciting fight here between two good players on Holotny Ferma. Some new supplies here thanks to the patch. Telemines proving to be quite valuable here, giving Lovenest very much a bit of breathing space in it early on there, knocking out two heavy tanks or leaving them pretty easy targets afterwards for his anti-tank guns and Panzerx. Good use of his armor. Reasonably good use of doctor. I mean, the Ostrom squad and the field officer definitely doing well. I mean, Veterans 3 on a field officer, still impressive. The Ostrom also did well, giving a bit of early breathing space, though he had a bit of some sort of holding up ground because he split them up, thus ensuring they didn't have the full strength, giving Sheepeh enough time to sort of quickly overwhelm him here and there. But in the end, though, Sheepeh's strategy did give enough space there to sort of get back in the fight. And well, again, the Telemines basically sort of robbed Sheepeh of any sort of heavy armor shock momentum it could have arrived at. So a pretty interesting fight there overall. I think Sheepeh might have benefited from going for some regular armor or maybe some tank resources or something, sort of add a bit of further diversity, even some mortars. I mean, he was rather heavily lacking in artillery, which certainly gave Sheepeh or Lovenest sort of defensive posture a bit more punch to it. So that's something there to keep in mind as well. But overall, pretty exciting first fight here for the new patch. I hope we'll be getting a lot more of them because, I mean, there should be a bit more things that are now viable for all sides, in particular for the Germans, and particularly now the Ostrom now again. Plus, we've got new commanders available here for the Germans and the Russians. There will, by the way, be a video up, or already be a video up on that as well. My thoughts on them anyway. So, thank you all for watching. Hope you enjoyed. Hope you learned something. If you did want to subscribe, tell your friends, share it with everyone. Share with friends, family. If not, you know, send in a replay and provide some feedback in the comments. This is Imperial Dane saying cheers and thank you all for watching.